In a last-ditch effort to scuttle U.S.-China relations, Trump is attempting to poison the well and box the incoming Biden administration into a corner. By expanding sanctions against Chinese officials who the U.S. accuses of involvement in the passage and implementation of Hong Kong's national security law, and by continuing to ramp up U.S. military aid and diplomatic exchanges with the rump Taiwanese authorities, Trump is disregarding and trampling on China's sovereign rights and exacerbating tensions in the region. For over 2 decades, a national security law mandated by the Basic Law governing the One Nation, Two Systems relationship between Hong Kong and the rest of China was blocked by pro-Western legislators in the Hong Kong Legislative Council. These same anti-China, quote, pro-democracy forces, supported by U.S. intelligence agencies and their surrogate, the NED, instigated a prolonged political crisis with calls for the independence of Hong Kong from the mainland. For months on end, Hong Kong was subject to mob rule. It was only the imposition of the national security law that the violent protests were quelled and Hong Kong returned to normal. What the authorities in China and Hong Kong did is what any sovereign nation in the world does to ensure the safety and security of its citizens. The U.S. itself has an array of similar laws that are frequently invoked to do the same whenever there is civil unrest. As regards the military sales, they are meant to provoke China, not defend Taiwan. U.S. military and diplomatic support for the Taiwan authorities merely gives them the wherewithal to challenge the One China policy, which is the foundation of U.S.-China relations. Instead, the U.S. should refrain from such provocative acts and promote cross-strait relations between Taiwan and the mainland, as was the policy prior to the current Democratic Progressive Party rule over the island province. The U.S. is in a position to promote peaceful economic, social, and political exchange and communication between the two sides if it so chooses. Both in Hong Kong and Taiwan, China is acting to protect its core national interests, as would any other country in its position. The U.S. is acting to undermine them. Will the new administration in Washington move to reset and restabilize relations with China? If so, it must rescind the sanctions and suspend the arms sales. That is the litmus test the Biden administration must pass in order to restore peace and stability in the region and a constructive relationship between Washington and Beijing.